Welcome to an all-new episode of SJHL Weekly across the SJHL social media platforms. Thank you so much for tuning in wherever you may be watching today across the SJHL social media channels. We have lots to get into today. We'll be joined by Ronge Ice Wolves defenseman Parker Layton later on in the show. Of course, the Ice Wolves coming off 2 wins this weekend. We'll get his thoughts on the season and much, much more. But before we get into it, a big thank you, of course, to all of our great sponsors here in the SJHL. Of course, UPL, our presenting sponsor for all of our SJHL programming and our shows. So thank you so much to UPL and, of course, all of our other great sponsors: Borgo, Cantera Seeds, Capital Auto Mall, Chevrolet, Great Western, Nutrien, RBC, Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association, Sask Lotteries, Tourism Saskatchewan, UPL, Sask Energy, SGEU, SGI. Thanks so much for your support. Let's bring in our co-hosts, Jeromy Neugebauer, Rory McGouran. Fellas, how was your weekend? Nugsy, it looks like you have warmed up from your trip to Radville.
Yeah, it was a great time though in Radville. Really enjoyed it. Kept my feet warm, but it was awesome. Another time in the penalty box too. Put a little poll on Twitter where I should call the game from, and the people wanted me back in the penalty box. I don't know if that says something about what the people out there think of me, but
it might.
There you go. It was a good time.
And Rory, a big weekend for the Broncos. They had Parents Weekend.
It was Parents Weekend against the Melfort Mustangs, the 2-horse race, as I call it. It's always a great time when those two teams go up against each other. It turned out to be some unbelievable hockey. Mm-hmm. But across this whole weekend of SJHL was...
What a weekend.
Where's the consistency for some of these teams, right, Jeromy?
Zero.
It's, Nipwin wins 2 games, and then they lose 2 games. Kindersley on that crazy stretch, and then Kindersley loses to Ronge. Ronge on a losing streak. Now they win 2 games, so it's making the standings really, really exciting to kind of see develop there across that playoff line. And comeback city everywhere. There were 7 third-period comebacks this weekend in 11 games. 7 of those games, a team was trailing in the third at some point and came back and won. That's just crazy.
It's crazy. So let's show the scores just in case you missed them. Of course, Friday, Saturday both had 5 games. Let's start with Friday, of course. Friday night in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League, Flin Flon came back from a 3-0 deficit to knock off Yorkton 4-3. Notre Dame with a 5-4 win in Radville over the Weyburn Red Wings. Humboldt 5-2 winners over Melfort. LaRange coming back to win 6-5 over Kindersley, and then Battleford's doubling up Nipawin 6-3. Then we move on to Saturday, another 5 games on the schedule. Battleford's coming back to beat Nipawin 4-3. Melville 2-1 overtime winners over Flin Flon. Weyburn 8-5 over Estevan. Melfort, again, coming back. That's the theme of this weekend. Over Humboldt 5-4. And then LaRange doubling up Kindersley 4-2. And then the final game last night at the Westland Arena in Yorkton, Flin Flon 4-2 over Yorkton. And of course, all of our look backs this season are presented by our good friends at Sask Lotteries. Lots of great hockey this weekend. Lots of great comebacks. Let's start with one of the home and homes, the Humboldt Broncos, Melfort Mustangs. Each team gets a victory. Both these clubs, of course, are near the top of the SJHL standings, but Rory, you already alluded to it. Obviously, great hockey being played between those 2 clubs, and it always seems when they lock up, you get an entertaining game.
100%, and it's crazy because no other rivalry between any 2 SJHL teams has been as close and competitive as Humboldt versus Melfort. I know they're out of divisions, but it is the biggest rival for the Humboldt Broncos, bar none. 18 games between the 2 horses over the past 6 years, 9-9 for each team.
Nuts.
They're 4-4 at home, both of them, or 4-5 and 5-4 and 9-9 overall over those 18 games. It is never over until 60 minutes is up, as you saw in Game 2 with the Melfort Mustangs coming back from down 1 3 times. The first game was Aiden Fisher, and that was his story, stealing the show in his best game of an already, spectacular rookie season for the goaltender, stopping 43 of 45. The PK was phenomenal in Game 1 for Humboldt on the road. They started the first 6 minutes and 30 seconds of the third period shorthanded. 1 minute and 49 of that on a 5-on-3, and they needed to kill it. And then the physicality as well. It's incredible how young the Humboldt Broncos are and yet how physical they are. They played the Flin Flon Bombers. I thought the Broncos were the more physical team. Definitely were the more physical team against the Melfort Mustangs. And you look at it on Saturday, Melfort was completely banged up. No Ryan Duguay, no Chase Friedmore, no Zach Summers. The list goes on, right? There's about 4 or 5 other key components. Right. No David Ryu, no Matthew Pigeon in the roster. They dressed 3 APs up front, and that's where you got to give credit to the Melfort Mustangs for how banged up they were. Everyone stepped up. It was Olofsson and Henderson, forces for Friedmore being out. Right. It was Coyle and Hutchinson. Fantastic with Duguay and Summers out. That was a gutsy win in the EPA on Saturday, coming back 3 times and winning it late. Nolan Henderson 2 goals. So props to Melfort for winning that Saturday game with that depleted of a lineup. It was impressive.
Yeah, I watched the end of that. One of a couple games. Not only did you say third period comebacks, but third period comebacks not in the rink of that team, whether it's a neutral site game with Notre Dame and Weyburn or on the road in the case of Battleford's and Melfort. Beautiful power play goal as well at the end.
The final one? Gorgeous.
Henderson, who they just got there from Weyburn with a beautiful finish. And we keep talking about David Coyle like it's a surprise every weekend that he's been terrific for the Melfort Mustangs. But I really think for him, it was a thing where he got the details right. He was playing so well. We watched him at the showcase, Rory, really closely. Yeah. He was penalty killing well. He was stopping on pucks. He was being physical. He was using that speed, which we knew he had, and he stepped up because Trevor Blevins said, "Okay, who's the next guy up?" That's the way it has to be on good hockey teams. You can't dwell on who's not around. You have to worry about who's there and who's the next guy up. Well, it's been David Coyle, it's been Prosofsky, and those guys have to be very, very proud. I'm sure Trevor Blevins beaming ear to ear if the Melfort Mustangs can ever stay consistently healthy for a couple weeks in a row. He's got depth guys now that have that experience.
One guy that's not a depth guy, though, how good is Leith Olofsson? Yeah. This guy, he must have played 30 minutes on Saturday, full PK minutes, full power play minutes, up against the top lines with no Chase Friedmore. He's an absolute beast out there, and one of the best quarterbacks on the power play.
Yeah, he's not too many D-men in this league average over 25 minutes a game.
It's him.
And he definitely does.
Yeah. So. Some might say he's a thoroughbred.
No.
100%.
Got to keep with the horse.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's move to the other home and home. I had to say it. Battleford and Nipawin. And, of course, obviously, the North Stars were coming off having their 10-game losing streak snapped. They come back home. They're in a 6-3 victory over Nipawin. And then in a completely different game than on Saturday, they come back for a 4-3 victory over Nipawin. A really good weekend for the Battleford's North Stars.
Yeah, really, really interesting with a roster situation. Obviously, we all talked about how big it was for Battleford to get Justin Merrick back from the Western Hockey League, but then Jan Spunar, who's one of the best goalies in the Western Hockey League, got hurt there in Portland. So who knows how long Justin Merrick will be, up in Portland. We'll have to see. But they did bring in Ben Dardis for the North American Hockey League, and he looked really sharp in the 6-3 win on Friday. And Joey Hocko, obviously good story again. Keeping Battleford's in the cage, because early in the game it looked like Nipawin could have blown Battleford's out. You don't see that too often about the Battleford's North Stars, but when you have a power play like the Battleford's North Stars, you are never out of a hockey game. Battleford's is 28.3% at home. They have 3 power play goals each game in the last 3 games at home, 9 for 16 over that span. That's pretty spicy. I know their confidence is high. They scored 3 goals in 6 minutes in the third period on Saturday in Nipawin, too, with 2 minutes left to win it. Josh Metternach has been a nice addition up the middle, too. So, again, Battleford's, man, oh man, they're high on confidence. They've won 10 of 11. They are never out of a hockey game with that power play.
Yeah, they continue to produce on that power play. And then I guess on the flip side of that puck, like you kind of alluded to, Newsy, Nipawin played so well on Saturday. That has to be a bit of a deflating type of loss, obviously, leading 3-1, with about 8-9 minutes left in the third period, and to let that slip through your hands, that must be a tough feeling for the Nipawin Hawks.
They're 2 devastating losses for Nipawin, and one that I'm sure makes the coaching staff want to, rip their hair out, because you're up 3-2 halfway through game 1. You're controlling that game. Right, Battleford scores 4 straight. You're up 3-1 with 5 minutes and 40 seconds left in game 2. Battleford scores 3 goals in 5 minutes. It is just devastating losses. They were riding high after beating Melfort and Melville the week before, right? And now it's, again, that inconsistency for some teams that we're seeing, flirting with the playoff line, just can't seem to get that 3 steps forward instead of, One step forward, one step back.
Yeah.
And they aren't that young of a team anymore, Nipawin. They were last year.
they've gotten
We
older,
can't say that for these collapses. They have full 8 20-year-olds on their roster. 7 of them, though, are forwards. Their D-core is a little inexperienced, right?
Yeah.
But when you play defense, it's not just your 2 blue liners. It's everyone needs to buy in. And I just think those are 2 devastating losses for the Nipawin Hawks. And we've seen them bounce back before, but again, it's one forward, one back, and that's what's happening right now. I just got a quick stat about Kean Bell again, because we don't have enough of those, right?
Who?
Battleford's was +8 in goal differentials in their first 13 games.
Okay.
It's now been 13 games since they had Kean Bell. They're +31 in the second 13 games. It's absolutely crazy what they do.
This guy has 15 power play points in 13 games. People are like, oh, point per game, that's great. He's got more points, power play points.
I mean, +8's even a good goal differential when you kind of look at it. You're like, hey, we're up by almost double digits. +31 in 13 games since getting that guy back. So that's
absolutely.
crazy.
And I mean, he's played 13 games. He has 15 goals, 19 assists, and he is now third in SJHL scoring behind just Justin Lees and Ryan Duguay.
Pretty good.
And he's just a couple points back of the two of them.
What's his point per game average?
Do you want to take a guess?
No, just give it to me.
Okay, 2.62.
Okay, so
All right, let's move on.
but it has fallen
above my pay grade.
below where
It's below that 3 point.
Guessing
that
is not in my
mark.
contract.
Yeah, that 3 mark.
I usually do the math the night before if I need to have anything like that.
All right, let's move on to a pair of games between Ronge and Kindersley. Of course, Kindersley was coming off such a great week last week. 5 games in 6 days. They get 7 out of a possible 10 points. And then you think they're returning to the West Central Event Center with lots of momentum, and they take on the Ronge Ice Wolves, and then they end up losing both. It's great for Ronge because they're kind of, obviously, Kindersley is a team they are chasing. They're chasing a few teams for, obviously, the playoff spot. But to get both victories, get some momentum, it's great for Ronge, but also, I would say devastating for Kindersley not being able to build off a great week where you get 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if this is just the parity coming through again as we used to see every year, or again, just inconsistency for Kindersley. I was happy with Ronge, though, their performance, not giving up in game 1, coming back, right? Chirico settled in game 2, which is what they're going to need down the stretch, stopping 27 of 29. But this is the first game in game 1 there of this weekend that they won when trailing after the first period. If they get down early, they just, they never can seem to rally back enough offense to supplement what kind of defensive play they've been showing us, which isn't great, right? So they were 0-10 before that game. And now they finally won one. They finally came back. Nugsy, though, I will ask you this question before we pass it to you. Is there any other team that's more dependent on its offense, though, to score like 4 or 5 a game? It appears to me right now there might not be. But when Chirico does settle in, they become one of the most dangerous teams in the league because of that daunted offense. Yeah. When he can settle in, keep it around a 9-10 save percentage, right? They are going to win 70% of their games.
Yeah, I mean, you can word what you just said a couple different ways. And the way that I always think about this Ronge team this year is this team is too good. Too much talent, top to bottom, to be where they are. Again, Liam McInnes can't seem to stay in the lineup. I think that's not helpful. But they have so many pieces. Like, we're going to talk to Parker Layton. What that's a player. Talk about Mason Buchert. Is there a better shooter? Like Jacob Kazette, he's one of the best shooters. They brought in Hufty. He's been terrific. Rain Hodge has been terrific. Like, you go down the list, you're like, yes, are they dependent on outscoring their problems? Yeah, but they have the weaponry to outscore their problems. Do. And if they bought in, if they fought, I talked to Kyle Schneider, the assistant coach of the Ronge Ice Wolves, a little bit this morning. I said, what went right? And he said, we focused on defense first. And what their makeup of their roster is pretty offensively heavy, even on the back end. It's not all about the fact that they've got big boys on the back end. They need to buy in and play defense first. And, we talked about that all year with Melfort, right? How come that team with that decor isn't, shutting teams down a lot better? But this Ronge team has the firepower to be a very, very good team if they get the saves from Chirico, not just the big save, not just a lot of saves, but the right save at the right time, because that's also a big piece, right? At the Elgar Peterson Arena or at the Mel Hegland Uniplex, pardon me. It's going to come down. Often it comes down to did they make that save as opposed to a ton of saves because there's about 800 shots a game there. But yeah,
or take a few.
Take a few, yeah. But at the West Central Events Center, yeah, I mean, I think the Ronge Icehole's coaching staff is just thrilled with what they saw over 2 games.
There is one thing, though. They played 25 games, right? Only 2 teams have played more. But they're 5 points out of a playoff spot.
Yeah. I mean,
it's just there's no reason to lose any belief with their, not so great start.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But again,
Absolutely.
if they fall back into mediocrity, it will run out of time sooner than later, right?
Yeah.
You're at that point now, 25 games.
Yeah, but they got the pieces.
Yes, they do, 100%. I agree with you.
For sure. And that's a very good point. Is
If they fall to game 35, now
Yeah.
it's getting really close, and you'll start to see a little separation where now you can only catch 2 teams. Right now, you can catch everyone, I'd say, from 5 down.
Well, that's
right?
the thing with parity,
Still
right?
early,
Is the fact that there's so many teams close together. And thanks, guys, for putting up the standings. But you can take a look at this, and you look at the Nipawin Hawks.
That's
They're
the line right
sitting
there,
in 5th. They have 25 points, but they played the most games tied with the Battleford's North Stars, and as a result, they're below 500 right now. And you look at some of those teams. I mean, Melville, talk about last week. They had an up and down week. They lost 6-1 to Nipawin, and then they go and beat Flin Flon for the second time this season. Weyburn up and down week. Estevan up and it's really it's those top 4
all of them
teams.
are doing it. Yeah.
Those top 4 teams. Beginning of the season, not so much for Battleford, but obviously as of late, those top 4 teams have figured out consistency.
Yeah.
For the most part, Melfort last little bit, not so much up and down. But below that, that's where the rest of the league is kind of trying to figure out because it, like you said previously, it's like have a great week.
Yeah.
We'll take
The top 4 teams have at least shown us stretches and
Absolutely.
long stretches of consistency.
Absolutely.
Broncos are 5-5 in their last 10, right? So I mean, it does happen. Melfort, we saw them; they didn't win 2 games in a row over a month stretch from October 20th to November 20th. But those top 4 teams have shown us stretches of consistency where you can argue from 5 to 12 haven't. Right? Like you said,
You've
it's been
seen
1
good
week up,
weeks,
1 week
but-
down. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Nothing more than that, and as a result, that's going to make down the
tuned in.
stretch
Yeah.
very, very interesting. All right, the Flin Flon Bombers were busy this weekend. 3 games in 3 nights in the Parkland region, and a pair of games in Yorkton where they were trailing in both games, 3-0, 2-0. They come back and get victories. And then the Melville Millionaires, for the second time this season. The Flin Flon Bombers have only lost 3 games, and for the second time this year, they fall to the Melville Millionaires, this time in overtime, but still 5 out of 6 points for the number 1 team in the SJHL, according to the top 20 rankings. A business trip, really, in the Parkland region. And I don't think we can all agree that they didn't play their best hockey, but I think they're probably still pretty happy with 5 out of a possible 6 points.
Yeah, you know what? You talk to Mike Regan, like he's never satisfied, like anywhere close satisfied with his team. Like he's always looking at what's the next thing that we can worry about. He's almost never like, yeah, we're doing great. I'm really happy. Like,
Sure.
That's Mike Regan, and that's why he's one of the best in the league, in my opinion. On Saturday in Melville, it was a totally different game to me than the 2 games. In Yorkton, it was all Melville in this game. I don't know like what the box score said, but I watched a lot of it, and the Melville Millionaires were kind of all over them. And Kenneth Marquardt had a great bounce back because he gave up 3 goals on 9 shots to start the game in Yorkton, and then the Bombers kind of worked them a lot of the rest of that game on Friday night. Beautiful finish coming up here in overtime. There's a great save right there by Marquardt, and then you're going to see Liam Cox-Smith with a really nice finish, who's a real underrated player, I think, in this league. But yeah, great. I think great point. Business trip. I think Mike Reagan saying we got to do a lot. We're going to be a lot better than that when it's the 2nd and 3rd round in the championship, and they're hoping to be in Oakville for the Centennial Cup, obviously with the weapons that they have. But these are also still 18, 19, 20-year-olds. They're still human beings. Kenneth Marquardt's an 05. He's had a terrific start to the year. 5 games in a row, he was plus 923 in his save percentage as an 05 goalie who, to be honest, didn't play that much last year behind Harmon Laser Hume. So Yeah, again, Mike Reagan. Again, he takes the points that he gets. You're a good team when you go on a road trip, you get 5 of 6 points, and you're not happy about it. And that's the Flin Flon Bombers.
5 out of 6, no go.
No
good.
Yeah.
Go.
To me, this weekend for Flin Flon showed, one of their biggest flaws. They don't really have any, right? Definitely not many. Yeah. But it also showed the greatest strength. Whatever the scenario, they can turn it on in an instant. But I fear that they prefer a challenge, meaning that, for lack of a better words, give a poop meter might have its waves depending on its opponent and somewhat get sidetracked, against the teams that they expect to beat. Look at, they were not ready for the Yorkton game to start. Yorkton scored 3 goals in the first 5 minutes, and then Flin Flon, okay, let's turn it back on. 4 straight goals, win the game.
Right.
Trail 2-0 against Yorkton in the third game of that stretch. Okay, let's turn it on. Boom, win the game. Right? But it's very dangerous to kind of have that. It can create incredibly bad habits. This is the best team that I've seen in 3 years still, but I'm worried that, they got to wake up for these games as well. This is a tough league against any team. And look, they're a team that averages 45 plus shots a game. They were held to the mid 30s in all 3. So, it was just, it wasn't a great road trip, although they won 5 out of 6 points. I think
That's nice.
I just think they looked down on them and they shouldn't have. Yeah. And as for Melville, do they got the secret recipe against Flon? Like, should every other coach be watching these 2 games? I know that game 1, Ethan Rouse stood on his head.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Flin Flon outshot them heavily,
I
tripled
think it was
them.
like 46-18 or something like that.
But this,
Melville was the better team in this
that's
game.
what I mean. Are all
no, we're
coaches...
talking about the first game, though.
First game. In this one, though, does Melville have that recipe, or was Flin Flon just maybe underperforming? I don't know.
Better call him, eh?
But again, it's dangerous.
But you know what?
It's a strength and a weakness for Flin Flon, which we saw.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll say this, too. I think both Yorkton and Melville also played good, too. I think Yorkton's starting to play some much better hockey.
But we expect them to.
Exactly.
Right?
But
that's the best team. That's the best team in the league. You're going to get every team's best game.
Absolutely.
That's what you expect.
Yeah. For sure. Let's go back. One thing with the Flin Flon Bombers. You did see it in the highlight pack, but we're going to show it again. It's the Tourism Saskatchewan highlight of the week. Have a look.
2-on-1. Down the right side, it's Keane. Keane out front, shoots it. What a save by Borkhardt! Robbie! Kenya slipped on the other way. What a stop!
So there was a couple of really good plays for highlight of the week this week in the SJHL. But what put this one over the top? Rob Hart. Rob Hart.
Elevated it.
He elevated it, and especially with how the audio for the webcast in Melville is now with the broadcast setup. It's a microphone that's a little decent way away from your voice. So
you got to move the.
So for you to pick up as much as they did there on that goal call, Rob was. He was giving
that aggressive R on Robden was beautiful.
I
a long hold with some rasp.
Yeah.
That was good.
I also should shout out Kyle Schneider. We were past Laurent, I know, but he sent in a goal to suggest the play of the week.
Yep.
Which honestly, and I'm sure you guys are cool with this. If your team out there had a play of the week that you think deserves to be the play of the week,
absolutely
get in touch with one of us.
Yes.
and so Kyle Schneider was like, check out this goal by Cole Thomas.
I was gonna say, was it the Cole Thomas one?
That was a beauty. I think Briltz by Weyburn scored a beautiful one. We'll get to that too in a second. But if you think there's a play, we're trying to keep our eye on everything, but send it to us. Give us your opinion. We want to hear it. We'll at least shout it out for sure. And it might be play of the week. So help us out.
And there's, of course, you can see all those highlights on the SJHL YouTube channel. Yep. Subscribe today. Quickly, let's talk about the Weyburn Red Wings. 2 games this weekend. The tough loss, obviously, in Radville against the Notre Dame Hounds. Mm-hmm. But then they bounced back with an 8-5 victory in Estevan against their Highway 39 rivals. A split, but we'll see now if Weyburn can build off that from their win on Saturday.
Yeah, in Radville on Friday, I could tell from Cody Mapes' body language he was not happy with his team's performance. The Hounds were, I think, the better team probably for 50 of 60 minutes. The game still could have gone either way.
One-goal game, yeah.
Either way. And neutral site games, you and I were in Carlisle calling that one. Anything can kind of happen in a neutral site game. And I think 4 goals. Daza Mitchell gave up, I think, 13 goals over the the two games between the Estevan and Notre Dame games for Weyburn, and probably 4 or 5 of them were just kind of like flutter pucks that hit a weird body and took a funny bounce. So it was just a difficult week on the job for Daza Mitchell overall. Obviously, we all know and believe that he's better than that. Micklejohn there, boy, oh boy, is he on a heater and a half, 9 goals in 6 games. He's just finding the back of the net. That top line with Maharaj and Ruthven have really found lightning in a bottle. I just think the Weyburn Red Wings boys need a few more lines. Obviously, Max Manette's having a terrific year, but again, he wasn't the same maybe over these couple of games too. And interesting. Again, we've talked week after week. Sometimes Weyburn is elite and world beating, and sometimes they're not. And the reason why, I'm sure Cody Mapes is also scratching his head. So it's an interesting weekend for Weyburn.
Yeah, when you look at the Weyburn Red Wings, they've only scored the first goal of the game 6 times in 23 games. It is the lowest in the league, by a few at least. And with those not so good starts, it's really depending now on the bounce back ability of this team, right? When you lead after the first, when you tie after the first, Weyburn has like an 800 winning percentage right now when they're able to stay there. When they're trailing after the first and second, it's like a 200 winning percentage, right? They just can't find a win in that regard. So how much does that kind of weigh the ability that if you give up the first goal, which they've done now in 17 out of 23 games, if they don't score that second one, right? It's making or breaking the game since they can't get that first one of the way. Once they lead or tie, they're like 4-0, 4-0-1, right? Points in every game. But that first goal is something that I'm going to keep an eye on because it's completely telling the storyline of the game if they can bounce back after the first goal. But Cade Micklejohn, on the positive note, no goals in his first 8 games, right? And on a 7-game pointless streak. So no points in 7 games. Comes into the SJHL showcase, and I guess that was the spark that he needed. 9 goals since then.
He's kind of, I mean, if you look at it just based on stats, like he's thrown himself into the the SJMJ showcase Young Guns 100%. Conversation all of a sudden. On the flip side of the scoring first equation, the Notre Dame Hounds also, we talked about Ronge giving up the first goal and not winning. Notre Dame had not won a game when they gave up the first goal either, and they did that. They were down 2-0, and 3 different times they were down in that game in Radville, and the Hounds ended up winning that one with 2 quick goals late in the third period, not in their home rink. Are we sounding like a broken record? Because that happened a bunch of times. That happened with Melfort. That happened with Battleford. Sure. That happened with Notre Dame this weekend. Again, you don't see that too often where a home team kind of loses it late like that too often. But it's interesting to see again when you have. I'm not saying Weyburn's a one-line team, but I'm just saying when you have one line that you're really relying on, and that one line doesn't have a great day. Then you're running into trouble. So, Weyburn's got to find that depth that they have had before, and I'm sure they will, and they definitely did at Affinity Place. So.
We're trailing after any period, 2 wins in 21 games that they're in that scenario. Right? So that bounce back ability is everything for Weyburn right now.
For sure. Yeah. And I'm sure if you're Cody Mapes and company, you're probably hoping you could get back on the ice and try to build off that win. The Weyburn Red Wings have the week off, and they won't be back in action until December 6th.
But they beat Estevan
and
so that's like a 4-pointer in their hearts. Yeah, they're fired up right now.
Quickly before we go to break, we are going to do a quick edition of Nugs and Notes. Nugsy, you want to take it away?
It's got to be a quick edition.
No,
well, I don't want to keep
we got time.
I just don't want to keep our guests.
Oh yeah, fair enough. All right. So the sponsor is Chevrolet, which you guys suggested, and I was like, we all know what Chevrolet is, and that's a compliment to Chevrolet. Like, we should all know what Chevrolet is. It was founded by a Swiss race car driver, an engineer named Louis Chevrolet, and his brother Arthur.
I love that.
With the GM founder William Durant in 1911. And Durant retook over GM in 1919. They are headquartered in Detroit, Michigan, and according to the there you go, 8 Mile. According to Chevy's website, they sold 1.3 million units in USA and Canada from January to September 2023. So that's a lot of cars. And I've never owned a Chevy, but I rented a Chevrolet Spark, I think it's called, once in university, and I slammed it into the side of my house. And that costs a lot of money if you slam a rental car into the side of your house. Not great for your insurance. Did you guys ever have a Chevy?
I did. Okay. My first 2 cars were Chevys, and they were great, reliable.
That's all I got.
Fuel efficient. Chevy.
They're
outstanding.
Great.
Just don't slam them into the side of your house.
Don't slide them inside of a brick house. That's probably a good idea. All right. I was curious, I'm sure you are too, about the rules for this year's SJMJ Showcase, which is coming up January 31st and February 1st in Winnipeg's Seven Oaks Sportsplex, which I'm sure Rory knows the specific exact place
Same
where
place
that
as it
is.
was last year.
Yeah.
Same place as it was the last couple of years. All players are included this year, whether they're major, junior, whether they're committed. Like, there's no restrictions in the league about this. There's going to be one Young Guns 18 under team, so 2005s and younger, two teams 03s and 04s. And Doug Johnson coached one of the Manitoba Junior League teams last year. Will he coach an SJ team this year? Be something to keep an eye on. And I still think the three of us should guest coach the three teams for the SJ. So get your messages into Kyle McIntyre. He thought I was joking last year, and he probably still does, but I'm not. And some of the coaches said that they would take me at least. I can't really speak for. I'm sure they would take these gentlemen too. But I said, hey, would you take me? And they said, yeah, sure, that'd be great. So it could be fun, Kyle McIntyre. And then two last quick ones here. Was tuning into Nipawin Hawks social media, and they did the blind tape challenge, and the Buckburgers were in the championship, where basically they were blindfolded and had to tape their sticks nicely. And Braxton Buckburger, the older, was clearly cheating, and Ronan killed him anyways, and I was really impressed. So go to Nipawin TikTok and social media and check out their blind taping challenge. It was pretty entertaining, and Ronan crushed his big brother. Good for him.
Not only good at that, great at interviews.
Well, that's
too.
my point. Show bump helped him out.
Show bump.
I think that's probably what it is.
Taping a stick. Show bump.
Show bump. Last point then, Sask Finest. Last week, people were very kind reaching out. Doug Howard, the referee in chief, was terrific. Brad Howard, not Doug Howard. I don't know why I said Doug. Brad Howard was awesome, and we got a Hometown Heroes episode coming up this week. So,
do you want to tease who it is?
Well, I just teased it. It's a home.
Well, I mean,
So is it a player that plays for his hometown team?
Yes, that's what the series is. So last time it was Jacob Kazette, so we did a northern guy. So I guess their hint is it's a southern guy. This
you
week.
go.
So there's your tip, and there is Nugs and Notes.
Nugs and Notes. As always, great job, Nugsy.
All right. Say, when you do Nugs and Notes, I do love how our audience member and, of course, SJHL Marketing and Partnerships Director perks up and is totally dialed in for Nugs and Notes. Yeah.
Rest of the show, nope.
I meant to say, Jacob, who's a beauty, obviously, reached out to Neugebauer, which is that granola bar, whatever, and they said no, they wouldn't sponsor us. So
you're going to shame them.
And just like that, Nugsy threw a company under the bus.
Nugsy spent a lot of money on Neugebauers too, so
he did him out.
It's time to take a break. When we come back, we're going to be joined by the Ronge Ice Wolves defenseman Parker Layton. Get his thoughts on the season and the big weekend for the Ronge Ice Wolves, beating the Kindersley Clippers twice at the West Central Event Center. This is SJHL Weekly across the SJHL social media platforms.
And now down to Bruce Buff.
It's time for Rockmania at Capital GMC. Get rates as low as 0.99% and savings up to $8,000 on a new GMC Sierra. Plus used trucks with low rates and no payments for 90 days. It's Rockmania at Capital GMC in Regina.
Connecting with customers can be tough, but it doesn't have to be. At Direct West, we have the marketing tools and expertise to help introduce your business to the masses and help it grow. Connect with more customers. Direct West.
As a student, things can pile up fast. Ouch. But the RBC Student Banking Bundle makes back to school easier with up to $275 in value. That's a whole pile of takeout.
Today, online bullying is more common than ever, but there is help. SJHL wants to solve this problem. It's why they created Be Kind Online. If you're a victim of online bullying or know someone who is, or even if you just want to stop it from happening to anyone, this is a place to learn what you can do. You can find lots of tools and tips to help you stand up to cyberbullying. Be Kind Online is a place to learn how to stay safe as well, to learn best practices and plans to stop cyberbullying before it even has a chance.
Original 16. Celebrate things done well.
Sask Energy Network members are the best choice for natural gas solutions for your home or business. With comprehensive services like heating equipment maintenance, appliance installation, and in-store financing, they have natural gas solutions that go beyond heating to bring you the comfort, efficiency, and reliability of natural gas, both indoors and outdoors, all year long. For whole home natural gas solutions, network members burn brighter.
Welcome back to SJHL Weekly across the SJHL social media platforms. It's Jeromy, Jamie, and Rory. Thanks so much for joining us wherever you may be watching SJHL Weekly across, whether it be on YouTube, Facebook, you name it. We appreciate the support, but it's time now to go to the video chat line where we're pleased to be joined by Ronge Ice Wolves defenseman Parker Layton. Parker, thanks so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it. How's it going?
It's going really well. Thanks a lot for having me.
Yeah, of course. Parker, obviously a big weekend for your hockey club. 2 big wins on the road in Kindersley against the Kindersley Clippers. What'd you think of your team's play?
Yeah, I just thought, we have the tools and to win hockey games, and we put the tools to test, and we got the job done. And like I was watching you guys earlier today, we have the skill to get the job done, and it really feels good to get 2 in a row there. And we hope to continue that Thursday against Humboldt.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for joining us, Parker. Obviously on Sask Finest, I spoke to Jacob Kazette about you guys being reunited to play up there after some years apart. Just talk about playing in your hometown. I love when guys get the opportunity to stay at home. How much did you watch the Ice Wolves growing up, and how much was it a dream to put that jersey on for you?
Yeah, you said it right there. It was honestly a dream come true. I just remember growing up, like, the Ice Wolves were my NHL. They were my heroes. And being able to follow the footsteps of, the champions we've had and just the overall classy, good men that we've had on this program, just looking up to those guys as a kid, I kind of want to be that role model for the kids in the town now. So it's honestly a dream come true for sure.
Hey, Parker, kind of like you mentioned, you have all the tools. We look at the Ronge Ice Wolves and said, yeah, man, like they got pieces all over the place. But, sometimes it's just tough to kind of find that footing and put it together. So how, a leader like you, a hometown guy, a 3-year veteran in the league, how do you kind of handle the frustrations of maybe things just not going your way at the moment? Of course, that can change on a dime. And then trying to also teach some young players that are just becoming a part of this league to, we're not out of it. We're only 25 games in. We're only 7 points back or 5 points back or whatever it is. So just as kind of a leader, the frustrations and that balancing act of not letting it go over your head.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just not looking too far ahead and seeing like that we have to make, like, obviously we have to win some games here, but I think we still have to relax and, just focus on the things that we can control. We're only 5 points out of a playoff spot. So I think that's a positive for sure. You know, we have to look at a lot of positives when things aren't going right, but also critique the negatives and work on those things. I think we've been having some great practices, and that showed this past weekend that, you know, with good practice comes good performance. So I think if we just keep going down that train, then I think I know we can win some hockey games.
I love that answer.
For sure. Parker, I got to ask you, you know, Rory mentioned, of course, you're a 3-year Ice Wolf, hometown boy. What does it mean for you, though, to also be coached by Kevin Kaminski, a guy that obviously had a great NHL career? How has he been for your development, and what's it like playing for him?
You know what? It's very special. You know, if you make a mistake, he's going to let you know, but he's also going to be there to support you through no matter what. So I think just having him and knowing he has that experience, you can't really question if his word is right or not, because he's been through it all, and he's obviously shown a good career for himself there.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, part of playing for the Ice Wolves is playing for Kevin Kaminski, and also, you know, Kyle Schneider, who's a character in his own right. But, you know, one of the things that I think about guys that go up and play in La Ronge is all the opportunities to get out and play on, you know, to go ice fishing, and to all the nature elements that you guys have up there. You know, what are some of the things that you're into that you've been maybe taking guys from other parts of Canada and the USA and Denmark? Even you got a kid from Denmark. You know, what are you teaching, taking them out and doing, and how good are you at ice fishing? Because it seems like Jake Kazek can talk about ice fishing for about 5 hours.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. You know, Jake and I, and we had a few of the kids from camp, even, or Topher Chirko. We went out fishing, I want to say 10 days in a row before camp even actually started. But ice fishing's huge. We went so much last year, me and Dawson Smith. Again, I think we went 2 weeks every single day in a row when the weather's nice. So me and Jake, obviously we grew up ice fishing and being on the water and stuff. So it's definitely nice to, you know, I got a couple boats and, you know, some snowmobiles. So we definitely take the boys out and definitely cherish our land up here for sure.
Any tips for people going to fish in the La Ronge area that they can take with them?
Secret spots?
Secret spots?
Yeah.
I think just keep it simple, you know, just a little yellow jig and a minnow. That's all I use, and I seem to be doing pretty well.
I have no idea what that means, but it sounds great.
Hey, Parker, you know, when you kind of look at your trajectory throughout the La Ronge Ice Wolves career, 3 years, right? 16 points in 42 games, you know, 30%. 25 points in 53 games last year, 50%, right? And now you're a couple points away from a point per game player. Clearly the development's there. Clearly your game is among the upper echelon of defensemen in the league. Just kind of what are some aspirations, you know, after SJHL? Have you had some talks? Do you have some dreams of continuing the hockey career? Because just the way that you've been playing, it's no doubt in my mind that they're there.
Yeah, for sure. Ever since I was young, school's been a huge part. My mom's is a high school teacher, so she kind of instilled that in me to make sure that's more important. So obviously going to school, Division I would be a dream of mine. It has been since I was young. Just the aspiration to want to play at a higher level and play with the best of the best is definitely one thing that I would want to do for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Last one from me, Parker. I love talking to Malls. I love talking to all the Ice Wolves about the Mel Hegland Uniplex. I love calling games there. Like, you're right in the action, and it seems like there's some funky, weird voodoo magic. The board's bouncing, the puck, who knows where it's going. Like, how much fun is it to play there? Because you have, I'm sure, a lot of insight about the bounces and where the black holes that swallows the puck are, and the monsters that lurk in the corner. Like, it's a wild rink to be. I'm sure it must be a lot of fun for you.
No, for sure. I tell a lot of the boys it's definitely not the nicest rink in the league, but there's no place like home. Obviously, growing up on that ice, you know, I think it's the best ice in the league. The fans are always there. They're always crazy, no matter our record or what time of day, 2:00 on a Sunday, it doesn't really matter. But it's kind of funny, you know, I forget who we were playing. We had one bounce that went off the end board, and then it went in our net. And I said to Schneider, I've never seen that bounce before in my life. Even playing in this rink since I was 2 years old. That's a new one for me. So I'm still learning things about it. But I'm trying to help out the boys to find some little you know, some little bounces on the boards there and stuff. So yeah, for sure.
Parker, really appreciate it. It's rapid fire time. Are you ready?
Here we go.
Okay, if hockey fights were in boxing rounds and a 12-round fight, how many would you last against Killer Kaminsky in his prime?
I want to say maybe 2. I would just kind of keep my distance, and then I'd probably get tired and let him come after me.
How about with Kyle Schneider, who was also, not afraid of that in his playing days?
Maybe 5. I'll give him 5.
Do you think who on the Larange, just final follow-up with this little tie-in, who on Larange would go the distance against either of those guys if you have to pick one player?
I'm going to say Cole Thomas. He's a sneaky, scrappy little fighter in the room for sure. So I don't think he'll back down.
All right, I got a couple questions about Larange. Obviously, you are a big nature guy. We all know Larange, beautiful, often artistic scenery of nature kind of surrounding the area. If a team was to go on a hike in that area, who would get lost?
You're saying like which team in the SJHL?
No, which teammate of yours? Like when you turn around and all of a sudden he's gone and he got lost in the woods.
I'm gonna say Seth Dragon. I know he's from Saskatoon, but that guy, I think he can get lost pretty easily, even since he's 6'5". I don't think he's got much sense there for nature.
Is that a tree or is that?
You can only pick one. Are you more of a hunter or are you more of a fisher if you have to do the outdoor kind of activity?
Definitely fishing. I never got my hunter safety, but I used to fool around and shoot some squirrels at my cabin when I was about 5 to 10 years old. So definitely fishing.
Okay, you can only pick one: boating in the summer or snowmobiling in the winter.
Ooh. That's a good question. I'm gonna have to go with. I'll go with boating this time. It's the winter's not too cold right now, and we don't have much snow for starters. But boating, it's a lot of fun for sure.
Final one, and of course it has to do with, the boating. Clearly, you're capable of survival. You can fish. You used to shoot squirrels. So along with yourself, what teammate are you taking with you to kind of survive in a post-apocalyptic world? Like if you had to make shelter, scavenge for food, obviously fish, hunt, survive. What teammate are you taking with you?
Yeah, I'll probably have to take my billet brother, Carl Sonneff. He's just kind of a guy who's hands-on and willing to learn. So I feel like we'd have a lot of chat about. That's kind of how we became friends. We just chatted about back home. So I think if him and I had to go against the zombie apocalypse, I think we'd be coming out on top.
How has it been? I mean, this wasn't even in it. And I mean, I'll wrap it up with this. Of course, for people that don't know, from Denmark, right? Carl Sonneff. Just what's it kind of been like learning the culture and things from him? Because that's interesting. I didn't know he was your billet brother.
Yeah, I think there's a new question every day that comes with him being from there. But, it's pretty cool. Just hearing him on call with his family back home, just hearing the language is just very interesting. But obviously, he could be saying things about me that I wouldn't even know. No, it's been really awesome. He's such a good guy. And, yeah, it's awesome.
I got one rapid-fire question for you, and I didn't tell you guys about this one. Okay, Parker, it's a home game at the Mel. You're on the bench. The Ice Wolves just scored. On a level of 1 to 10, how loud is Braden Malsbury?
You can hear him.
Yeah, Malls. Yeah, there's no guy like him. It's got to be a 15 out of 10 or something for sure.
We love Malls.
You got to turn down the headphones when he's calling the game and you're rewatching the highlights. It's awesome, though.
That's good to hear. Parker, thanks so much for taking the time to join us today. We really appreciate it, and best of luck the rest of the way with the Ice Wolves.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
All right. That is Larange Ice Wolves defenseman Parker Layton. I thought about that right when you were wrapping up Rapid Fire because I feel like every time we've had an Ice Wolf on, we kind of have to ask that question.
Yeah. And I also have to wonder, man, these Ice Wolves are terrific interviews. Like Dawson Smith is like top 3 for sure last year of all of the interviews we've ever done. And then Parker knocked it out of the park there too. Man.
Parker's up there.
I would say
good job if you're still watching. That was great.
You know what? Maybe Malls is giving the players interview tips.
Yeah, he's vetting them.
He's getting them trained.
Yeah.
Yes. Well,
Smart.
Regardless.
Mallsy interview training. Up in Larange. Side business for Malls there.
You have practice, and then you got interview training. And then you go ice fishing.
Yeah. Good time.
All right. Great interview with Parker Layton of the Ronge Ice Wolves. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to announce some players of the week, and we're also going to hand out some obscure awards. You'll see what I mean after the break. This is SJHL Weekly across the SJHL social media platforms.
The Chevrolet Silverado 1500. Advanced power and capability to tackle the long hauls. Style to make a statement on the streets. Visit ChevroletOffers.ca to learn more.
Increase your home comfort with high-efficiency natural gas equipment. Sask Energy offers rebates so you can lower your energy use and save money. For a list of rebates, contact a participating network member or visit saskenergy.com.
When you buy a lottery ticket in Saskatchewan, your money really goes a long way. More than 12,000 sport, culture, and recreation groups receive funding from Sask Lotteries every year. Everyone wins.
Thanks for helping me out and trying to protect me today. It's the kind of thing that, somebody comes out who's not ready, not prepared, and put into an awkward situation without somebody taking leadership and saying, hey, I'm going to protect you. It's going to shorten people's careers. And that's a big reason why we exist and, what drives us to do what we do.
They know how important their role is in the community, being a good leader, showing kids that there is a right and a wrong way to do things and leading the right way, being a positive role model to not just kids in the community, but anybody in the community.
Coach said a lot of great things that are really consistent with the values that we have at the SCSA and, respect for those around us, respect for those that we work side by side with, leadership, and part of that is being innovative and collaborative and solving problems together. Really, the last one that you touched on was integrity, doing what's right and doing it the right way. And those things just yield incredible results, not just in terms of making things safe, but really being productive and striving, whether it be in a game or in your life or in your business.
I think absolutely we try and fill the roles of all those values and just try to be the best people we can, really, not only for ourselves, but for our teammates and for the community around us.
Had a lot of fun today. Thanks, guys.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Original 16. Celebrate things done well.
Waterways, Saskatchewan.
All right, we're back for SJHL Weekly across the SJHL social media platforms. Thanks so much for joining us. Wherever you may be tuning in, whether it be YouTube, Facebook, you name it. It's Jeromy, Jamie, Rory. What an outstanding interview with Parker Layton. We were just talking about during the commercial break.
He was phenomenal.
Like, that might be, that's probably a top 3 interview for us in the year and a half of the rendition.
And if you missed it, you can watch it on demand.
Gosh,
on demand.
Great plug.
How about that?
You can watch it
And
on
I mean,
demand.
we've been blessed with just really good interviews, so we're not like power ranking them or anything. But when you get a guy like Parker, who obviously loves his Ice Wolves from Larange, and comes out and speaks to him, it just means a lot to us for doing the show. When you get a kid so heartfelt and well spoken and funny like that. It was
because
great interview.
He would have been a kid when the Ice Wolves won back-to-back SJHL championships. So pretty special for a player and like Parker to do that in his hometown for sure. All right, let's hand out some Player of the Week awards for this week. Of course, once we announce them, you can read more on sjhl.ca. But let's start with SGEU MVP of the week. We've talked about him a lot here, Nugsy. Cade Micklejohn, 7 goals, 1 assist, 8 points in 3 games. But, I mean, he just was lighting the lamp all week.
Yeah, he terrific hat trick against Notre Dame, a couple more against Estevan. He scored, I think, 5 straight goals for Weyburn over the week.
That's right, yeah.
It was 5 straight.
It was 3.
Pretty impressive. I might be missing one there, but anyways, the point is
at least 5 against Humboldt
midweek. Yeah, 2 against Humboldt, and then 3 against Notre Dame, and then 2 against Estevan to start that game as well. And he's just money in front of the net lately. Obviously, Jerome Maharaj, we've talked about him all year. He has been incredible creating, one of the elite creative players in the SJHL, Jerome Maharaj, playing with Micklejohn, and Jackson Ruthven has been a great addition to that line too. It's just been a great line for Weyburn. Kind of we give the MVP kind of to that whole line in some ways too, but Micklejohn's been banging in the pucks, so he getting that's the MVP.
Well, I just think also 7 goals in 3 games.
Pretty impressive.
It's
really
outstanding.
good.
You never, you don't see it very often. So congratulations to Cade, SGU MVP of the week. But moving on to Borgo Forward of the week, the player who had the most points this past week in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League, Rory Matthew Van Blaricom of the Humboldt Broncos, 3 goals, 6 assists. Another great week for the Southie product.
Yeah, he just keeps impressing every time he steps on the ice. 17 years old and as elite as you'll find for a kid that age in this league. And,
unreal.
3 more goals, 6 more assists for Van Blaricom, who now has 31 points. And you look at the guys who are doing it ahead of him. Justin Lee's 20, Duguay 20, Silvestri an 04, Bell 20, Houle 20. Van Blaricom's 17 years old, and he's right there in the mix with them. So I've been really impressed with him, and he's an engine. He's an engine. He's strong. He's fast. He has one of the best shots in the league, and another 9 points in 3 games for him.
Unreal. Currently tied for 6th in league scoring in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. So congratulations to MVB. Super U Defenseman of the Week, and it's fitting. We just talked to him. Parker Layton of the Larange Ice Wolves. A big catalyst in the wins for the Ice Wolves over the Kindersley Clippers this weekend. They were pretty banged up on the blue line. McInnes didn't play for a pair of games, and Parker definitely stepped up his game news.
Yeah, I think Parker's been a huge leader for Larange this year and beyond as well. And, it was all Kindersley to start that game, but the first half of it. And then Parker Layton scored, and the comeback trail was on. And, you talk about goals and getting a lot of points, but also when you score them, when you make your impact is also very important. And 5 goals in a row for Larange. And I was talking to Clayton Jardine, the Kindersley coach, after the Clippers played the Hounds a bit ago. He said, "My team's been a little too entertaining this year," but that game was extremely entertaining.
What a way to put it!
It's been too entertaining.
Our team's been too entertaining.
Just 2 teams that you think about in this league that the games they played could really go in any wild direction. Larange and Kindersley, and Parker was in the middle of turning things around for Larange there, and a big win and a big weekend for the Ice Wolves.
Yeah, so congratulations to Parker, Super U Defenseman of the Week. Going to change up the order a little bit, so guys in the back don't get mad at me. Rory, Saskatchewan Player of the Week, another player from the Humboldt Broncos that had a great week. Obviously, a lot of offense from the Humboldt Broncos this week.
Why you keep tossing them to me here?
And Spencer Bell of the Humboldt Broncos, 3 goals, 5 assists. The pride of Warman. Warman continues to just produce great hockey player after great hockey player, just like Spencer Bell.
Yeah, Bell's your prototypical power forward, right? Yeah. He got a hat trick, a couple assists, a 5-point night earlier in the week. Picked up some more assists in the Melfort series. He's quietly been maybe the most consistent Bronco this season, and probably is he the biggest omission off of our preseason, or I guess preseason, we were 6 games in, but he's not on any of our fantasy teams, actually, and he has 27 points. He's one of them. He's got to be in the top 5 of the omissions left off, but
we should make a list.
Scott Barney, he compares him to Thomas Holmstrom, right? Powerful, tough to move in front of the net. He can skate, he can shoot, really soft hands, in tight. He's kind of got that breed to him, and a really good week for Bell.
So congratulations to Spencer Bell, Saskatchewan Player of the Week. Outstanding performance with 3 goals and 5 assists. Moving on, Direct West Rookie of the Week, Nugsy, from the Notre Dame Hounds, DJ Free Gang, 2 goals and an assist. And I know you were in our group chat when it came to Rookie of the Week. We definitely had healthy debate between this one and the next award. But the one thing you brought up with DJ is not just these 2 games, obviously, but he's been very consistent for the Ice Wolves over the course of the last 2 weeks.
For the Hounds, yeah.
For the Hounds, sorry.
Yeah.
different.
Yeah,
sorry, for the Hounds.
DJ has been terrific since he came back from his injury. Like, he got hurt before training camp, didn't have training camp, didn't have preseason, missed most of the start of the year. So that's why people don't really know who he is. But they did everything right for the first 4 games or so, where no points were going in, 0 points, 0 assists. I don't think he had PIMs even. He wasn't even on the score sheet, but he was playing terrific. He was forechecking. He was making things happen. His attitude has been great. He knows what he is. He's a great skater. He's a big body. He hits. He scored a gorgeous goal in Radville, backhand shelf on a breakaway on Dazza Mitchell, who's not an easy guy to beat on a breakaway. He's done everything right for Brett Pilkington and the Hounds. He's been huge. I mean, you look at the stats lately for Cypress Smith-Davis, too. We were joking. I call him the Cypressaurus. So he's probably the dinosaur of the week as well as Cypress Smith-Davis. I got my tongue twisted. But Cypress Smith-Davis and Alexander Hollins have been awesome, too. And a big piece of it is because of the work DJ's done on their wing. So I'm, you can call me a homer if you want. I don't care. DJ has been awesome. Big piece right now for the Hounds, and good for him to get this award.
Have you asked him about Ogden? Is that how you pronounce it? Ogden, Utah?
Ogden,
Ogden, Utah.
Ogden.
Have you ever asked him about what that's how the hockey scene is there? I mean,
yeah, I just that it's not very big, but yeah, I mean, terrific parents in town. He's got Canadian background. He's got Canadian citizenship, so he's a dual citizen as well as DJ. So he knows what it's like up here. So, but yeah, he's been awesome. So.
Big jazz guy.
Yeah.
Probably.
So
congratulations to DJ Free Gang.
The music.
What's that? No, not the music. The basketball. I was talking about the basketball team.
I was like, does he like jazz? I don't know.
No. The basketball team.
I thought it was the music too. Yeah.
All right. It's a sports show, guys. But do you know what, DJ?
You
like jazz music too?
Yeah.
Nope. No harm and foul. Jazz music's great too.
Nice sometimes.
And then the final award that we had some good healthy debate on in our group chat when it comes to SaskTel Goalie of the Week. The vote was kind of split at 2. And we ended up going with Harmon Laser-Hume. However, this award could have easily gone to Aiden Fisher of the Humboldt Broncos. But Laser-Hume gets the edge. Obviously, coming in relief in the first game against the Yorkton Terriers when the Bombers were down 3-0. He stopped the bleeding, and it sparked the comeback for the Bombers. But we've talked about how good the Flin Flon Bombers have been this season, but Harmon Laser-Hume's stats continue to slowly improve this season, and we've seen him play well. And I mean, Rory, you saw him 2 weekends ago. He's definitely stepped up his game this year.
Yeah, he's been really good. And I guess the difference, Harmon Laser-Hume comes in early in that first game, right? And he ends up stopping 21 of 21. Yeah. Fish comes in late in the Weyburn game, stops 9 of 9. Doesn't even get credit for the win. So only 1 win. Harmon Laser-Hume 2 wins. Harmon Laser-Hume 955 save percentage and a 105 goals against average. Goals against average is lower. And coming in earlier in that game and picking up the win for the Flin Flon Bombers is kind of what gave him the nod for his, is that third? Not third straight now,
It's back to back.
It's back to back,
but it is his
third
of the season because he split one with his Kenneth Marquardt when they won the 4 and 5.
When Marquardt, I like Kenneth Marquardt, and when he struggles, Harmon comes in and he solidifies. But then Marquardt plays a game later in the weekend, and he looks good again in net. So you need 2 goalies in this league and in this age of hockey.
Absolutely.
And right now, Harmon Laser-Hume is one of the best in the league. So
and you know what? Award. Just to throw that in too, Aiden Fisher could have won Rookie of the Week this week too.
Oh yeah,
absolutely as well.
He's young. He's got more to come.
Trust me, the way he's playing, he's probably going to get an award here pretty soon for sure. That is your SJHL Players of the Week. If you want to learn more about them, head to sjhl.ca. The article is live right now. Now, I teased it earlier before the commercial break, but we are also going to hand out some obscure awards that we came up with. They're meant to be fun. So we have 6 awards. We each came up with 2 separate awards. We're going to run through them. And if you want to play along when we talk about the awards, comment in the comments. Let us know what you would vote for these awards.
And this isn't the last time we'll do obscure awards. We'll
Absolutely
pepper it
not.
in, we'll think of more, and we'll give them away
love
later on.
obscurity, for sure. Okay, let's start with this one's not even that obscure, but it's definitely open-ended for sure. Top power play threat.
Individual
Power play threat player. Nugsy.
It's Kean Bell, and it's not really even close. He hasn't been in the league all year, so maybe he doesn't have the same numbers as, I don't know, Caden Newens, for example, who's been awesome as well. But to me, 15 power play points in 13 games is pretty incredible. Whenever Battleford is on the power play, they're a real threat, and Kean's the biggest reason. So for me, it's Kean Bell.
Rory?
See, I couldn't decide between 3 guys.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's a lot of options.
I don't even have Kean Bell in it.
Well,
there you go.
Because it was just about sort of attributes, right? Best power play quarterback, I think, is Leith Olofsson. I think his ability to move the puck, to find his guys, and especially to keep the puck in the zone is absolutely above and beyond. The best shot in the Ovechkin position is Cage Newens, but the most crucial focal point of a power play, I actually think, is Alexei Silvestri. So that's the one that is going to kind of go above. If you neutralize Silvestri, and he's in the bumper of the Flin Flon power play, their power play doesn't move the puck as well, and then they have to go all the way around the top to try to get it to Anderson, right? Their best plan to get it to him is using Silvestri in the middle. Then they can bump it down to Justin Lees, because Vockler on the wing is more of kind of a passer. It runs through Silvestri. Vockler may start with the puck, but every play runs through the middle. If he's out of it, I think that power play isn't first place in the league, and I'm going to take the guy who I think is the most important part on the best power play in the league, and that's Alexei Silvestri.
Bold. I like it.
Thank you.
I also had Kean Bell there too. All right, moving on. Best rink food.
Well, that's where you're going right now.
Yeah, let's go to best rink food. Would you like me to start?
Sure, you can go. Yeah.
Okay, it's the rink that I've probably frequented the most, I would say, in my SJHL career, aside from places that I've worked, and that's Melville.
Yeah.
Melville has, I love the options of the food. It's always fresh, and just good variety on the menu. So I'm going to go with Melville.
You know what? The Mish would agree with you.
Yeah.
I think the Mish has given Melville his best rink burger title.
Yeah, for best rink burger.
After year one. I mean, there's always changes in recipes. Maybe a buck burger comes into Nipwin. And,
We're still waiting.
But I think after year one, he gave the nod to Melville. So good pick. I'm going to take Kindersley for overall because there's lots of options. Quick service. Great rink food. Their options are endless. I really like Kindersley stuff. But the best single item is in Flin Flon now with their new ownership. And I apologize, I forget the name. It's like Hot Fire Donair or something like that. But it's a new Donair restaurant that has taken over the canteen there. And they have a Donair poutine. So it is like French fries, cheese curds, gravy, Donair meat, and then the white Donair sauce.
Wow.
It's huge. It is amazing. Wow. So the best item goes to the Donair poutine. Their new owner's up in Flin Flon there at the concession. Try it out. It's great.
There you go.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
That sounds good.
Sounds good. I mean, I don't know how widespread it is known, but I have some dietary restrictions, which Rory loves.
Well, I guess this makes it a little.
It's pretty widespread. But I mean, personally, in Lumsden neutral site game, I was actually talking to Doug Johnson because the Hounds played Melville in Lumsden. And the Hillside Smoking Q at the Lumsden rink there was unbelievable. And Doug Johnson was like, I've played pro in Texas. I've lived in Texas. And I've had incredible barbecue over my time. And I had my pulled pork sandwich was unbelievable. He said the brisket was even better. I wish I'd gotten both.
Wow.
But yeah, if I were to pick a regular sort of team in the league, I'm going to throw it to Estevan just because of my buddy Pete Saragella and his pizza is elite. So I'm going to go with Esteve.
They serve the pizza in the rink?
They do now.
In the
Yeah,
corner,
yes.
yeah.
In the far right corner.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, they do. Lots of options. That's a good one, Nugsy.
Did they always do that, or is that new this
Pretty
year?
It's been a couple years.
regular.
I think 2 years.
Sorry, Pete.
Yeah, you got to look for it.
Yeah, sorry, Pete, I forgot.
Moving on. Our kind of back to the actual hockey. The one Nugsy came up with, the Steady Eddie Award for, how would you describe it?
Yeah.
Just good overall
don't need
defense?
points.
Meat and potatoes defense.
Play defense.
Perfect. All right,
Reliable.
Nugzy, you came up with this category, so you can hand out the first award.
Yeah, well, thank you. That's awesome.
You're welcome.
So there's a lot of guys I could pick from because these are like some of my favorite players in hockey. But I'm gonna go with Tanner Gold, of the Battlefords North Stars. He's so good. First of all, I was talking to Braden Klamoska about this today. We were talking about how puck retrieving is such an underappreciated element of playing defense. Puck is dumped into your corner, go back, dish it or skate it out. Your team's not in trouble, you're not defending, your team's not stressed out. There are a few guys in the league that are as good at getting the Battlefords North Stars out of trouble or any kind of potential trouble than Tanner Gold is. He's so hard, he's as strong as an ox, he's very underappreciated in terms of how strong he is in front of his own net. He does everything right for the Battlefords North Stars. The points are coming this year too because of opportunity, but he's as steady as they come. I'm going with the captain of the Battlefords North Stars, Tanner Gold.
Rory?
I'm going to stay at home. A guy that I watch all the time, and it's Chase Cook. Everything you can ask for in a D-man. He's always against the other team's top line. He blocks shots. He boxes out. He is not the biggest guy, but he takes a beating in front of the nets. Averages 23 minutes a game, just over 23 minutes. 422 of those are on the PK. He wins 61% of his puck battles, according to the analytical stats, and spends 65% of his time in the D zone. So you're talking about puck retrieval, winning battles down low. He wins 61% of them and spends 65% of his time in the D zone. It also took him 118 games of junior A hockey to score his first goal. As he did that last season, 6 games into the season. He played 2 years before with Merritt in the BCHL. So if that's not Steady Eddie, I don't know what is, because that's 120 games before scoring, and I love Chase Cook.
To be fair, I put Chase Cook also on my paper, but I figured you were going to take him. So.
Tanner Gold is fantastic.
I love Chase Cook. Too.
I think there's again, similar to the top power play threat, I think there's a lot of good defensemen you could potentially take for this one. I'm sticking in Melville for the Steady Eddie Award for me, and that's Peyton Kostishin.
Yes.
I mean, he's 6'3", 210, very physical, good in his own end. And, this year, he's only played in 15 games. He's been a little bit banged up since the last Estevan game in Melville, but he's starting to pick up the points a little bit too and contributing offensively. And we talk about players that playing in their hometown, playing for your hometown team, and he's been a stalwart for them on the blue line for 3 seasons. So I would give mine to Peyton Kostishin. Moving on to the Cy Young, which, if you're not familiar with the Cy Young is, in baseball, it's the top pitching award. But usually whoever wins the Cy Young has a very good win-loss record. And for the SJHL Cy Young, we're going to look at it as lots of goals, not many assists. So the Cy Young, Rory, goes to, for you.
Well, I mean, it's Cade Micklejohn with the RKO out of nowhere.
It does.
9 goals and 3 assists. It's a +6 differential in the Cy Young Award. And before it was, 0 and 2, I think, for Micklejohn. But then he rattles off 9 goals and 1 assist in the next 6 games. And that's the patented Randy Orton RKO out of nowhere for Cade Micklejohn in the Cy Young Award.
Yeah.
I also had Cade Micklejohn. Nugsy, did you have anyone different?
Yeah, I have Kale Nachai for the perfect the reason that he has 0 assists and 5 goals.
Well, that's good too.
Oh, hey, that's a good one.
He's as reliable as they come on the mound. He doesn't know losses.
No losses.
I mean, the website Van Blair.com, I think he was way ahead until he picked up a bunch of assists, like 6 assists in his last 3 games or something, and he still got 17 goals and 14 assists. So. Minus the 6, Rory and I have this long-standing joke about 17, about how bad I am at math. So, but anyways, the website was up there for me. But Kale Nachai and Aiden Knutson are kind of the 1-2 for me. But 0 for Nachai is, I'll give it to you.
I like that.
I like that too. Yeah. Okay, this one's a fun one. Best name in the SJHL. There's a lot of good names. Nugsy, you're up first.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of ways to go about this. Like, I don't know how people know this again about me. I'm a big history guy. So whenever I think of Leif Olofsson, I think, oh, like there's a Viking name. Like that guy's explored the shores of Newfoundland or something. And then you know, a name that I always kind of have to say his whole name when I'm broadcasting for the Melville Millionaires games is Flynn Maxey. For whatever reason, it's just a name that kind of rings. I can't say Maxey. I've got to say Flynn Maxey. Yeah. There's a lot of good options. I don't want to steal. I know what yours is, so I'm not going to steal them. But the last one then is we talked to Ronan Buckberger last week, and he talked to you about Artem Hrabovetsky.
Nailed it.
And he said he rolled the R's there, so Artem is a pretty fun one.
You know what mine is?
Yeah, I can see your people.
Oh, well, I got 3 of them.
I was gonna say, I don't think we talked about it.
I mean, you got to toss in Brett Butts as well.
That was the first one on my.
Brett Butts from the Yorkshire Terriers. That's a great alliteration there.
Yeah,
great
a bunch
name.
of options.
I do like a name that I also enjoy saying on a broadcast, like you said, right? Something that rolls off the tongue. And whenever every time Harmon Laserhume makes a save,
that's a fun one.
It's just a great HLH, a 3-namer. Harmon Laserhume, when he makes a big save, you can really hammer it home. So I'm going to go with the Flin Flon Bombers netminder.
That's a good one. Yeah. For me, I went with somebody that has something unique about his name that you don't see often on a hockey jersey.
Yeah.
And that is a Roman numeral.
Oh, yeah.
Vito Biondo the third from the Nipawin Hawks.
Do you say it with like the Italian?
I think you have to. But the fact that, like, I noticed it at the SJHL showcase. Seeing the Roman numeral on the jersey was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that's why I went with him. Our final award is, it's a fun award. Yeah. It's an award it's a consensus. And in my opinion, at least it's a consensus.
Is Nugsy going to go first?
It's the Super Mario Award. Nugsy came up with it. Nugsy, who gets the Super?
I was thinking there was a segue there coming from the Italian.
That's just a good one. Yeah.
Unintentional segue. Yeah. But the Super Mario Award goes to Nugsy.
There is competition. There's some really good mustaches around the league. I don't know if it's necessarily consensus.
Ty Sugar's up there.
Yeah, Ty Sugar's doing great. The list goes on. Riley Giroux, Battleford, Lucas Jeffries, and Weyburn are all right up there. But for me, it's Nipawin Hawks goaltender Tyson Endall.
Oh, okay.
That mustache is all the way going across his face, and he's playing the puck in the corner, and probably Tad Cozen's like, that's great. And sometimes he's like, that's not so great. But it usually works out for Tyson Endall, so I'm going to go with Tyson Endall.
Fair enough. I think Rory and I ours is the same. And actually, we got a photo.
Yeah,
so guys, can we put it? There it is. The Super Mario Award.
We were talking about players. I'm all about the players.
I thought you would have known. Like, this was.
You thought I made an award so that you would give me an award?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, well. I mean, if we're going to include anybody, then Doug Johnson with his handlebars are
without, but yours almost flips up like Mario's too. Like you give
they're kind of in opposite directions a little bit. Can you get your mustache to go up like that?
I don't know.
He's got the beard hair back right now, so it's tough. But without question, I mean that's beautiful. And thanks again to the Mish for putting that together. I couldn't resist myself.
Yeah, it was good job, Kamish. So photo credit to the @Kamish for that. But that's our obscure awards. If you have an obscure award you want us to hand out next time,
we'll do that.
Send us a message. We got some more in the tank ready to go. But let's take a look ahead before we wrap things up at the upcoming week. Let's start with Tuesday here in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. Couple games on the schedule for tomorrow night. The Nipawin Hawks, Yorkton Terriers meeting at the Westland Arena. Of course, both these teams looking to bounce back, and both these teams met actually at the SJHL Showcase not too long ago, and it was the Terriers picking up the win. And then Nugsy will be at the West Central Event Center in Kindersley. The Hounds looking to build off that 5-4 win, and Kindersley looking to get back in the win column after suffering 2 losses to Ronge. Then we move on to Wednesday, another pair of games. The Hounds continue that road trip as they take on the Balfour's North Stars. And then a great matchup between the Melfort Mustangs and the Flin Flon Bombers at the Whitney Forum. So that's what the next 2 days in the SJHL kind of look like as a whole. But as always, guys, I always ask you at the end of the show, What are you looking at this week? What are you keeping your eye on? What are you looking forward to? Rory, we'll start with you.
Yeah, the big game kind of circled, and midweek, if you're preparing for the weekend, always fun. But you can't watch all of them on the weekend. There's only 2 games on Wednesday, and one of them is the Melfort Mustangs up in Flin Flon, taking on the Flin Flon Bombers. Mustangs just one of 2 teams to beat the Flin Flon Bombers this year. So I'm definitely looking at that. If they don't get some of those bodies back that were out against Humboldt, it's going to be tough, but how they played in Humboldt was one of the best efforts from a depleted team that I've seen. Really, really good job by Melfort. So I'm looking at that. And then for anyone out there that has ever been to Ronge and has given grief to the broadcaster's box at the Mel Hagland, you are not my friend, because that is one of the funnest places to call a game. It is obscure. Sure, it is different. It's an old building, but if you don't like that press box for calling a game, you're crazy.
You get great audio.
You are in the play. You are the 6th member of the power play. You are right on the ice. It is awesome. So I'm heading up there this weekend, Thursday, Friday to Ronge, and I'm really excited to call a game back in that booth because it's fun. You're right in the action.
You've been on the road a lot.
I love it. Yeah.
I know. It seems like I haven't been home in 3 weeks.
I think Rory's tired. I think Jeromy, you and I called Estevan Battlefords at the showcase on Estevan Radio, and I honestly thought it would be a tighter game, and the Bruins had some good moments in that game too. But Friday night, Estevan is at the ACC. The Bruins, I guess, with a bit of a road trip that's similar to Notre Dame with the Battlefords and Kindersley. But Jason Tatarnic will have a game plan. I'm sure guys will be back in. There was a lot of guys out of the lineup for Estevan at the showcase in Ormond. The Battlefords North Stars are hot again as usual. They won a bunch in a row. But I always think Jason Tatarnic, when you count out the Bruins, I've said this many times on the show, they find a way to be like, actually, the Bruins are good. So Friday night in ACC, I got my eyes on Estevan Battlefords.
For me, anywhere that's got a teddy bear toss. It's that time of the season. Yeah. It's that time of the year. I think the game you did in Humboldt or in Weyburn on Wednesday was their teddy bear toss night.
No.
Oh, it wasn't?
No.
They're
coming up though soon, I think.
Weyburn had their teddy bear toss already.
Oh, did they?
And then Estevan had theirs over the weekend. So it's teddy bear toss season. Yeah. So if your team is having a teddy bear toss night, go out. It's always a fun. Yeah. I mean, it's the one time a year you're encouraged to throw something on the ice.
And bring a teddy, of course.
You got to take advantage of that. And I think I know of one teddy bear toss taking place this weekend. That's Kindersley and Estevan on Saturday. So I'm keeping my eye out for the teddies for sure. But of course, if you can't get out to your local rink to watch any of the games this week in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League, of course, you can watch all the action on Flow Hockey. Get your membership today. And then, of course, follow across all the social media. Like us on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. You know the drill by now. Lots of social media coverage, so be sure to follow us across the board on all of the channels. And again, we have to thank our great sponsors here at the SJHL. Big thanks to UPL, our presenting sponsor, for all of our SJHL programming. Thank you for your support. And of course, thank you to Bourgault, Cantera Seats, Capital Auto Mall, Chevrolet. Great spotlight by Nugsy on Chevrolet today on Nugs and Notes. Great Western, Nutrien, RBC, Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association, Sask Lotteries, Tourism Saskatchewan, UPL, Sask Energy, SGEU, SGI. Thank you so much for your support, because without your support, these shows would not be possible. Lots of great hockey this week in the SJHL, so get out to your local rink, support your local team. If not, you can tune in on Flow Hockey. For Jamie Neugebauer, for Rory McGouran, my name's Jeromy Corrigan, and this has been another great edition of SJHL Weekly across the SJHL social media platforms.